Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to Jambareeqi Orange, the show where I let my patrons decide what I review. The options for this month's poll included Predator, Spider-Man, Ants, Meet the Robinsons, Paprika, Goosebumps. They chose Meet the Robinsons. Lewis is a little orphan boy who has a passion for inventing, but he is struggling to find potential foster parents because none of them will accept him for who he is. Lewis decides that his biological mother must be the only one who wants him, so he creates a memory reminding machine to help him find out who she is. Lewis tests this new invention at his school science fair, but things start to get weird. A strange boy approaches him, claiming that he is from the future and that he must avoid an evil man in a bowler hat. Lewis dismisses this warning, but this bowler hat guy is here and has sent his robotic hat Doris to dismantle Lewis's machine, which causes the invention to fail in presentation. Lewis is heartbroken by this failure, but the future boy appears again, introduces himself as Wilbur, and insists that Lewis doesn't give up on inventing. Lewis is reluctant to believe that Wilbur is from the future, so Wilbur agrees to take Lewis to his time if he promises to carry on inventing once returned to the past. However, the moment Lewis is convinced that Wilbur has a real time machine, he immediately wants to use it to go back in time to when his mum dropped him off at the orphanage. The boys fight over the time machine, only to end up crashing it. Wilbur begs Lewis to fix the time machine. In return, he promises to help the inventor meet his mum. But really, Wilbur just wants to get Lewis back to his own timeline. While fixing the time machine, Lewis meets Wilbur's eccentric family, the Robinsons, who welcome Lewis with open arms. Meanwhile, the bowler hat guy has a hard time trying to sell off Lewis's memory machine to a corporation because he has no idea what it does or how it works. He discovers that Lewis has travelled to the future and must find a way to capture the boy from the Robinsons. This movie has had a divided response from audiences. Some people think that it's one of Disney's less impressive animated features, while others reckon that it's an underrated gem that deserves more praise. Personally, I can see both sides of the coin. I get why the film didn't make a huge splash, but I also think that it shouldn't be forgotten or ignored, because it has some qualities that make it very charming. This is a very fast and energetic movie, which does make the comedy very snappy and will keep kids engaged, but it also hinders the execution of certain important elements. Because the film is rushing through a lot of scenes, many of the Robinson family members are underdeveloped, with most characters being reduced to minor cameos, and only a couple are given bigger roles. This makes it hard to get attached to the family as a whole, because most of them feel like strangers. They are mainly written as one-joke caricatures rather than fully dimensional people. Yes, we do get to bond with a few members, so special moments spent with them do mean something. But when a scene tries to get sentimental about all the Robinsons, it's not as moving as it could be. I wouldn't say that the more underdeveloped members of the family are unlikable. No, they can be very funny, creative, passionate, loving, and work really well as a team together. It's just, because there's not much to these other family members, I can't really say that they leave much of an impact, and if you ask me to remember most of them, I would really struggle. That's not the only issue caused by the rush pacing. When the Robinsons start to become emotionally attached to Lewis and want to adopt him, it all feels very sudden. Sure, I get why they like him so much, he makes a great first impression, but they've only spent 2 or 3 scenes with him, and most of these scenes go by really fast. Plus, when the movie ends and tries to tie everything together so it can connect the past with the future, it throws all of Lewis's life-changing moments into one whole scene. The thing is though, the movie is totally capable of settling down. It can be quiet and take its time with its more dramatic scenes. The tragedy of Lewis struggling to find loving parents is affectionately handled, as director Stephen J. Anderson grew up as an orphan himself, so he could sympathize with Lewis, and as a kid he asked the same questions that Lewis does. This is a personal project with meaningful things to say, not just about the loneliness of being an orphan, but also the art of making accomplishments. The movie explores how valuable work ethics can be, that we must accept failure when it happens, and not let our lack of success deter us from trying again and again and again.
You failed!
And it was awesome.
Exceptional!
Outstanding!
I did better.
From failing, you learn.
From success, not so much.
If I gave up every time I failed, I never would have made the meatball cannon.
I never would have made my fireproof pants.
This is a message that everyone can connect to. We all at some point become disenchanted with our dreams when a project doesn't go the way it's planned. Even though I will admit that it repeats its motto of keep moving forward a bit too much, I do really respect the film for inspiring audiences to not give up, to embrace their failures as stepping stones to success, rather than seeing them as the very last page of their life story. But in my opinion, the best aspect of this film, the main reason I think people should watch it, is the character of the bowler hat guy, a villain who steals the very film he's antagonizing in. Bowler Hat Guy is designed to look like a classic 1920s villain, but even though he's determined to be evil, he doesn't have the cunning intelligence required for a criminal, and relies heavily on his robotic hat Doris to lead the way. I can't help but find this character endearing. He's very passionate about his goals, but he's too childishly excited to think things through. Every scene he is in makes me laugh louder than a hyena. He's a blast to watch, and director Stephen J. Anderson himself gives him a deliciously campy voice.
Everyone will tell you to let it go and move on, but don't. Instead, let it fester and boil inside of you. Take these feelings and lock them away. Let them fuel your actions. Let hate be your ally, and you will be capable of wonderfully horrid things. Heed my words, Goob. Don't let it go.
What?
But there's more to him than being a comedic antagonist. He's provided with a character depth that fits the film's themes. You see, later on in the story, it's revealed that Bowler Hat Guy is actually Lewis's roommate at the orphanage, Goob, who was kept up all night by Lewis's loud inventing and lost a baseball game because he was too sleepy to pay attention. While Lewis went off to become a successful inventor, Goob stayed at the orphanage and let the darkness build up inside of him. He decided to ruin Lewis's science career by going back in time to steal his first successful invention, the memory machine. With this backstory in mind, Bowler Hat Guy becomes a more human character, because he represents the very person that we can all become. If we let failure drive us to bitterness, jealousy and hatred, then we'll become toxic people, and it's important that we let hope steer us back to healthier behaviour. Later, it turns out that the Bowler Hat Guy is playing into Doris's secret plan for world domination. This revelation is a wake-up call for him, because he realises that his only friend wasn't truly being there for him, but using him and encouraging his darkness to grow. He seems genuinely sad that his only friend betrayed him, and you can tell that he feels guilty for being a pawn in her scheme. Now, a lot of people have complained that Bowler Hat Guy is not as menacing as your usual Disney villain, but to me, that's the point. If he was written as too cruel and evil, then we wouldn't feel sorry for him later on, and we wouldn't see ourselves in him. Not to mention, it's Doris that compensates for Bowler Hat Guy's lack of sinister malice. She's the real villain in all this, proving that headwear can actually be kind of creepy. Although, it doesn't make sense why Doris would think that ruining Lewis's science career would be a good idea for her. You see, we later learn that she has a personal vendetta against Lewis, as she is one of his future inventions, but he shut her down after she tried to revolt. So she uses Bowler Hat Guy to not only ruin Lewis's future science career, but also mass-produce other robotic hats and take over the world. When really, she should have poofed out of existence once Lewis's science career was hindered. Yeah, the time travel logic in this film will make you scratch your head at points. To conclude, I have mixed feelings on Meet the Robinsons. I admire its honest intention to teach audiences about moving forward, and Bowler Hat Guy is one hell of an entertaining Disney baddie. But the movie's rush pacing and confusing time travel logic do make it hard to entirely appreciate. It's an imperfect film, but I totally respect what it has to say and can't deny how hard it can make me laugh. So, what do you think of Meet the Robinsons? Let me know in the comment section below. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Orange? Well, that's entirely up to my patrons, and it will be a Halloween special. Here are the choices. Alpha and Omega, The Legend of the Sawtooth Cave, Frankenweenie, Hocus Pocus, Monster House, It 2017, and the original Halloween. Like I said, you have to be a patron in order to access this poll. What is a patron? Don't worry, let me explain.
This is my Patreon. It's a site for my fans to make monthly donations to me. Those who donate are called patrons. The money I receive goes towards funding my videos and serves as a supportive income for me. Patrons can donate as much as they want each month and stop donating any time. All donations are greatly appreciated, and in return for their patronage, patrons are given exciting rewards, depending on how much they donate, including their names credited in my main show, access to exclusive videos, and the chance to decide a review on my channel.
Very excited to find out which film my patrons want me to review next on this show. Cheerio, folks.